All set. Good afternoon, viewers. Here we meet again in the Parul University webinar series. The last few months, we have been talking about various situations that has been created because of the COVID crisis. Now, today, we are going to talk about how the global e-commerce sector is going to shape forward. What is its role? So, have you ever wondered how the Flipkarts, Amazons, eBays, Alibabas have created their stable hardware on our mobiles, and how we are now frequently acquainted to using these platforms? Have you ever wondered how Big Basket, Grofers, etc., Ubers, Olas are using these platforms and what are the revenue without having physical structures? OYOs can create a revenue share for themselves and offer so much to the customer. Have you ever wondered where this discount comes from? Have you ever wondered how they use the communication strategies to reach out to us? Yes. So, in today's session, we are going to talk about the business perspective and the communication perspective of the e-commerce sectors from two of the best speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, from University and Faculty of Arts, I, Professor Dr. Ananya Mehta, welcome you to this webinar. I also welcome the very eminent speakers from the industry, veterans and the seniors who are going to share their views. And I have the pleasure of introducing both the speakers for the day. Up first is Dr. Triveni Mathur, a lady who began her career as a journalist from a leading national English newspaper express to Press Trust of India, and after her stint with the industry, she has been very active into academics. Former director of Symbiosis Center for Media and Communication at Bangalore, she is an avid researcher, author, publisher, and she is a Rotary International Scholar from USA. A corporate scholar with 3 decades plus experience from academics and industry, she is one of the speakers for the day who teaches core courses in journalism, media research, and many other subjects to the undergraduate and postgraduate students in India and abroad. Dr. Trivedi Mathur, madam, welcome to the webinar on Parul University platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the next up is a professional who who likes to identify him as a senior digital transformation consultant, a trainer who has conducted 100 plus training sessions on digital marketing with 10,000 plus participants and 50 plus corporates. He is the country head of Barclays, a trainer, a startup entrepreneur, and with core competences in diversified business groups, automobiles, FMCG, etc. A vastly experienced and a senior member of this panel today. I welcome Mr. Ajay Chabra to this webinar. Welcome, sir, on behalf of Parul University.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anya.
Right. And to start this webinar, I would request Dr. Trivedi Mathur, madam, to give the opening remark.
Good evening. Good evening to everyone, all the participants. I think before I start, there's a lot of ambient noise. Maybe people could just switch off their microphones before the webinar begins. Good evening once again. I must thank Dr. Ananya Mehta, the Dean of Faculty of Arts, Parul University, and the management of Parul University for having me over to address this webinar. It's a pleasure to be sharing the platform with Mr. Ajay Chabra. Thank you so much. And also, I'm sure this webinar is going to be of much value to both practitioners as well as students of business studies and communication. And like Dr. Ananya just mentioned, I'm basically a communications person, so I'm going to take it along those lines. Anyway, I think this particular webinar has come at a right time. These are very unprecedented times. And in fact, saying so itself has become quite cliched by now, with all of us under lockdown for almost 4 months. Nonetheless, these, I would say, are definitely testing times to watch and experience the level of agility and adaptability of the human mind, human perseverance, and human ingenuity. And this is the key for us as humankind to emerge stronger and braver. Disruption was the buzzword in the pre-COVID times. I don't think there could have been a greater disruption than what we are facing today. And it has sort of shaken all of us. But like I said, human ingenuity is something that one cannot fathom. So these are times for us to reimagine, re-strategize, and respond. Thank you once again for hosting this. With these opening remarks, I think we could move on, and then I will come back to respond again on how do we work around communication and communicating the right messages post this scenario. Digital, other platforms, omni-channels, multi-channels, what are the new things that we need to look at where customer always remains the king? Thank you once again. I think we should move on before I take on other aspects.
Excellent. What a fantastic remark. Reform, re-strategize, and rework. With this, I request Ajay Chhabra sir to give the opening remark. And sir, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm really glad to be part of this session today, webinar, and I'm really glad to talk to Dr. Triveni, Dr. Nanya, and to address the people around the world who are interested in the subject of what's the kind of effect of COVID-19 on consumer behavior and e-commerce in general. So what I put together, there are a lot of findings. If you were to ask me that what will happen, what will not happen, I can summarize in 2-3 minutes, and then I have worked upon a small presentation which I would like to share with all of you audiences today. So basically what we are trying to see here is that there are a couple of industries who are thriving and surviving in this particular pandemic. And there are certain industries who have really suffered a lot. So brick and mortar retail, for that matter, those guys were already under pressure. Now they have kind of gone into a different zone altogether. From a macroeconomic perspective, if you look at the IMF's recent prediction, IMF told that India might have minus 4.5 growth, basically. Earlier they projected that India might have 1.9 growth only, GDP growth. So now they are projecting that since the last 2 quarters, we were not able to do any major activity. So we might see a negative growth in the time to come. So that's one global trend pertaining to India also, that we might get into another form of recession. And India has seen 3 recessions in the past. Okay. So those recessions we have passed through, and now we don't want another recession to happen. 1958, 1966 and 1980 basically. So we don't want another recession, and since COVID comes with opportunities also, it's not that there are industries who are suffering, but there are so many industries which have scaled up also. Like if you look at pharmaceutical industry, there are a lot of ample opportunities of growth. If you look at your online e-learning, e-learning and online education industry, they have really grown faster than ever basically. Okay. So if you look at online gaming, they are also gaining. So there are so many industries which are gaining. There are so many industries which are under pressure. Indian IT and digital transformation industry, if you were to ask me, they are the major gainers of out of all this COVID scenario. Now, so what we are trying to learn here is that so the sectors which are gaining, like let's say edtech sector for that matter. So we only know 2-3 names: Byju's, Vedantu, Coursera, Udemy. But eventually there are currently, if you were to ask me, more than 3,500 edtech companies working in India. So there are a lot of potential to grow. So in conclusion of my opening remark is that COVID is a disruption. Like ma'am said, I really like her comment that there were earlier disruption, but we can't give any name to COVID like macro factor like COVID. And what I would say that we have to move on basically. Ultimately, it's a new normal. So what we have to live in, it's a new normal. Earlier, like I remember some of my female colleagues from my previous company, they used to strive for work from home and their managers never used to approve that. And those guys were suffering that time. And now even the husbands are at home. They are working from home basically. What about women basically? And now they can take care of the kid. So the new reality is going to be far more better than ever. Why I'm saying so? Because India hosts more than 75% of IT talent world over basically. So if you look at the native potential of India, we are at our best. Okay. Now another sentiment: if Chinese companies by any way of and that the anti-China wave if it happens basically, so ultimately beneficiary is going to be India only. So India is going to get that advantage also. So we are poised for growth in the next 2021. Okay. Now this financial year might be 9 months for us, maybe 9 months for us because first quarter was totally unproductive for all of us. Now 9 months are going to be productive for us, and economy has taken up. US numbers have totally changed. If you look at US retail e-commerce data, that's a different ball game altogether. If you look at Indian scenario, Indian e-commerce numbers have increased to some extent. Now, when things are opening up, people are comfortable still going to retail kirana shop. But it doesn't mean that there are not those unconnected kirana stores which were in the unorganized sector. They are not going to get connected. That unorganized sector was close to 13.8 million people were India over basically, small mom and pop shops. Now, if you imagine if only 25% of that audience who is in the metro, semi-metros and tier 2 cities, if they get connected on the power of internet, okay, then you can see a great revolution coming in India. And normally for any e-commerce company or marketer or brand, we would always be looking at 25 to 45 age group, which is the most age group with the disposable income. But that's not the scenario in the new normal. Even senior citizens from 55 and above, 65, they are connected, and that population represents 25% of our own country's population. And you will see a lot of e-commerce transactors from that audience. Similarly, from X, Y, and Z, millennials and Generation Z audience, which is the lower age audiences, they also are learning how to save. First of all, they have understood the value of money now. Earlier, they were like spending like hell. Now they have understood the value of money. So they will not be spending too much that way. But they were already there in the digital curve. So for them, the curve is delivering results. Now, what we have to be cautious about is that the digital revolution comes with a dark side also. That dark side we have to worry about. That dark side is all about fictitious brands, spurious drugs, unwanted people delivering the stuff, okay, unhygienic product being delivered, or cyber theft, cyber security issues. Senior citizen at the verge of losing their bank money because they are getting calls, take insurance, give me OTP, I will give you money, you got a refund. Okay. So all those things, if you look at the cyber security crimes in the last 3 years, they have skyrocketed basically. So digital comes with dark side also. So we have to be able to manage that dark side and go along well. Now, if you all permit me, I can switch over to my presentation. for a few minutes?
Yes, sir, please. So that's a huge data that we are expecting from today's webinar. 3,500 platforms, 75% of the IT intellectuals in India. Sir, what an excellent opening remark. That's very informative. Thank you. We continue the presentation.
All right. Yeah. Let me just share my screen. Now, this presentation was done some time back. Okay. So we will kind of just run you through this. Now, this is the definition of consumer behavior. It means that mental and emotional processes which are observable. Okay, during and post consumption by product or service. So this is the
Are you
basic-
sharing? Are you sharing the slide because we can't see it?
You can't see this. Okay.
No.
Somehow I'm able to. Okay, just give me a second.
Yes, sir.
So now can you see this, please?
Dr. Ananya, can you see it? Because I
Yeah, we
can't.
can see it. Yes, yes. Now, yeah, the screen is now visible.
All right. So
I am not able to see it. Okay.
I think we are able to see. I think if you're not able to see, let me know. Please.
No, I'm not able to see, but that doesn't matter. You continue.
Acha, you still are not able to see this. Dr. Nanya, are you able to see this?
Yes, yes. Consumer behavior slide is there. And the slide is also visible on the Facebook platform.
Okay.
Right.
So that's
okay. So let's go to the bigger scenario. So I did some research in the month of April, and then these are the COVID numbers that time. Now when I revisit this dashboard, I'm really scared because if you look at the kind of numbers of COVID positive patients and deaths, they have really gone far off basically. Now one term which I defined at that time was consumer if perplexed will create a panic scenario where marketers will be more intimidated and this might lead to confusion, further confusion. And we call it paniconomics basically. So that's one. So, and I believe you are all aware of this kind of scenario in your city, your town, when the COVID started. People really had to rush through shopping malls, kirana stores, and this was the scenario wherein you could find anything, the things you were looking at, baby powder, toilet products basically. Okay. And there were a lot of issues in terms of empty shelves, panic of buying goods basically. Now, so there was a huge panic scenario in big cities and even small towns basically. People for the time being became individualistic in nature and they were worried about the health of their parents. So summary of that. Then so some of the main essential products, like if you go back to the COVID time, there were messages coming out from Amazon.com, Grofers.com, Big Basket, that we are seeing unprecedented traffic on our e-commerce sites, and due to which we have to stop our deliveries for some time. And we are only be delivering non-essential goods. So you could see the impact on e-commerce had already started. When some of the main essential products on our... Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. We can hear
All
you.
right. So there was some background noise. So, so impact on e-commerce had already started in the month of March when there was first lockdown announced and people were panically rushing from here and there and trying to stock inventories for 2-3 months. I could see my parents stocking ration stuff and all that, and it was true for everyone basically. So, so these e-commerce giants suddenly saw spurt in the traffic, spurt in the orders, and they were not being able to deliver. So they had to put down those messages that we can't deliver anything beyond essential goods. So they immediately stopped the delivery of non-essential goods basically. Now, sentiment analysis, we did some study. There were some studies globally being done, and I'll just take you through some of the major findings from that. Okay, so some study was done in America on the overall consumer sentiment. So 71% of Americans were concerned that time, basically 71%. So out of which 80% parents and 65% non-parents. Now, so So 58, 59% people, consumers thought that this crisis will last up to 3 months. Although 25% people thought that it will last for 4 to 6 months. This was done by a research group. Now 54% are no longer considering the purchase of big ticket items. Now this is impact on not only retail industry per se, but even on e-commerce sector per se. So earlier we had reached the stage, before COVID we had reached the stage wherein people were experimenting to buy large fridge, large sofa sets, even furniture online. We had a lot of e-commerce ventures mushroomed, and people were doing large size deliveries via e-commerce. Now, this is the US scenario wherein they were saying that we are this much percentage of consumer research. So they were saying they are no longer considering the purchase of big ticket items. What it means that it's basically homes, cars, trips, and luxury goods. So those four segments had a major hit basically. Now, if you look at the way what people were searching, these are some of the global brands in US: Purell, Clorox, Lysol. Okay, people were searching for that. Made in India, made in China had a really negative sentiment because of the potential association of COVID invention in China, which is yet to be investigated. But people were scared to buy from China. Now, so these are some of the effects we studied in terms of global e-commerce. Okay. Now suddenly on the shelf, if you see, only those food products, health and safety products, they saw sharp spikes in the e-commerce. This is global e-commerce data, and we saw sharp spikes in very like food and grocery products. Now, if you also look at these other products, which are cleaning supplies, face masks, they also saw some really good jump in terms of volume and value. Then in Italy, this is Italy data: baby wipes, okay, medical supplies, respiratory care, pet vitamins and supplements. So those products in Italy, like this is country specific. So those products got huge numbers basically because Italy was worst hit that time. Now, similarly in France, medical supplies, okay, so first aid and bakery and some other stuff, they got very high. Now, overall, like if you look at the fast food categories in UK, so this is UK data. So couple of categories have shown very good increase. Some others were not showing any increase. Now, one research analyst says that fashion and luxury goods sales have decreased, but their volumes are increasing. So we don't agree to that. So I don't agree to this slide at all. Now, suddenly you see the how coronavirus has impacted US consumer behavior. Now, when it comes to US, I have some important data to share with all of you, and which is very, very relevant. I got it from my recent research, basically. Okay, so in US, UK, Amazon has already delayed Prime Day to October. Okay, so US, what happens like Amazon declares a day as a Prime Day, and there are like plenty of shopping done to be on that particular day. So they have kind of been delaying it from August till September. Now it is in October. But on the positive side of COVID, they have announced earlier. They announced that we will be hiring 1 lakh more people in India. That was India number. Now overall in US, they have announced 1.75 lakh new workers. That's one good news. Second good news is that average wage rate for Amazon workers is around $15 an hour. So they have globally announced that we will be increasing that dollar rate by $2 per hour in US countries and £2 per hour in UK. So that's the positive side of COVID, that their workers working in the e-commerce industry, they have got pay rise also. And there are news of new hirings basically. Now overall e-commerce in US was 73.2 billion online sales in June, which is up 76%. Now, overall, if you look at the market size in US, it is 38.7% still commanded by Amazon.com. So Amazon.com is 38.7% with the first slot in US. Now, second slot comes Walmart, which is 5.3% of online sales. And I'm glad to announce that here in the class that they have taken over eBay. So eBay is now 4.7% of the total online e-commerce sales in US. So eBay has been reduced to number 3. Walmart has gained, and Walmart is now 5.3%. Now, if you talk about retail sales, overall retail sales numbers, Walmart is number one with 27%, and Amazon is 17.2%. So, Amazon overall is number two in terms of retail sales. So, because Walmart has a larger footprint on ground, Amazon has larger footprint on online. Now, one trend which is coming out from this US trend is that, which is very important for each one of us to know in the class today, that basically there is something called BOPUS. That new concept has come in. Click and collect. Click and collect. So that concept says that we want to come and deliver. It's a hybrid model wherein if you order online, we will send you a notification when your order is ready. You come and collect it. So that's the model which is being experimented in a large scale across US, and Amazon has decided to add 1,000 more shops like that to take on to Walmart, and Walmart is also doing already very well in terms of real estate. So again, it might become expansion of these organized retail in this sector might become real estate dependent. So just a trend I'm predicting in this class that you might see a kirana store, okay, who's delivering 100 to 200 orders every day in the vicinity, but you don't see any customer lined up there basically. You know what I mean? So in your own vicinity, those shops which are now lying vacant, tomorrow they might be rented out by these big players like Amazon, JioMart, and your Walmarts of the world, Flipkart basically in India. So Walmarts of the world and those rented locations, small 350 square unit locations might be picked up by these guys, and they will use it for local warehousing, small warehousing of kind of a retail store which can store 1,000 to 2,000 SKUs in local vicinity, and based on the geographical area of delivery, they can service 5 to 8 kilometers around that circle. So you might see that number of shops will increase, although customer might not be there, but deliveries will happen from them, or click to collect will happen from them. So this is the trend I am predicting for India also. Now, this is what we have already seen. What brands should be doing? Okay. So, what brands should be doing is that in the current scenario, advertising and media content should change, keeping consumer psychology in mind. And I think this segment will be very well taken care by ma'am. So, I'm going to skip that now. So, in global perspective, each country has its own kind of consumer sentiments. Some countries are expecting the COVID to be very drastic for them. Some countries are neutral about it. Some countries are positive about it also. So then there are some countries who are badly affected in their income. So they are predicting that their ability to earn will be reduced after COVID basically. Now, so this is the propensity of countries' economic recovery after COVID. So some countries are saying that we might recover faster and better. Some countries are predicting that we might not recover very well. So this is the sentiment analysis on that. Now, majority segments of the categories of e-commerce sites or the retail, they are showing red trends because of the reduced buying behavior and propensity for people to save money now. Okay. So, and in digital, the activities have increased. People are resorting to gaming, virtual meetings like we are doing right now, e-learning, webinars, reading news online. Okay. Now, I still love those days when I used to read 7:30 was the time every day when I used to read two newspapers. I used to get Times of India, I used to get Economic Times, and one of my professor in my college in Kurukshetra University, I passed out in 97. He told me that Mr. A. Chavda, MBA is a golden collar job, but provided you read Economic Times every day. So I took his advice, and for last 20 years I have been reading Economic Times every day. Now for last 4 months I have not been able to do so, but that information gap is still filled because I still get mailers from ETCIO and ET Now and all of that. So those things are happening, and these guys will also go for premium subscription model. They have already gone for that. So the digital subscription model will increase in the e-commerce segment. OTT has been a major gainer out of the 6 industries in India we talked about earlier. So pharmaceutical, your OTT is another gainer basically. So that entertainment industry over the top videos and all that. Now, this is the slide for India e-commerce effect. If you look at it that way, this research was done by McKinsey some time back, and they said grocery, food items, household supplies are going to be majority gainers in this segment, and alcohol, jewelry, tobacco, and apparel, they are the losers basically in Indian e-commerce industry. So these are some of the segments which are not going to gain, and beyond that, every other segment will come online. So what they are predicting, most of the segments, non-traditional segments, will come online and adopt e-commerce because that's the only new way to sell to customers worldwide. Now, impact we have already studied. We'll just keep that. Now, if you see this chart now, suddenly in the month of March, you see spurt, okay, in the e-commerce spending. This is a global chart. And now this is a sector-wise chart wherein some sectors have gained and some sectors are negative in nature. Okay. Now, so this is my summary slide, and I think I give it back to Dr. Triveni, and she will enlighten us from her own knowledge on the subject now.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Before Triveni ma'am takes in, I would just take this opportunity to thank you, sir. I mean, what a fabulous presentation, informative dose that you have given to us, giving a comparative analysis of various sectors and your point of click and connect by use in US. I hope if it is expanding, it's diversifying, we'll be able to see it in India soon and in other countries as well. So that's the to the viewers. We have seen the business perspective of it, how the e-commerce has grown and is contributing to the space, and how important it is in our daily life. And we have been transiting to it. Sir also spoke about the digital mediums. Now, how do they reach out to us? The business perspective is already been seen. How do we go and how do we move forward in terms of communication? What is the target audience that it should use? What are the platforms that they should be using to reach out? And should it only be the digital way or traditional ways can also be opted for in terms of communication strategies and reaching out to the audience through different messages? I would request now the second speaker for the day, Triveni Mathur ma'am, to share her views. Over to you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Ananya. It was indeed a very enlightening session, a very enlightening information by Mr. Chabra. And I would really like to take it on from there. I mean, the various factors that he has talked about, which are the sectors that are gaining and which are the sectors that may or may not gain out of it, and the kind of behavior in terms of consumers buying and the retailers and the market selling it. So taking it from there, I will just begin where I left earlier, where I said that these are times when we need to reimagine, re-strategize, and respond. Before we respond, I would like to add another aspect which is going to be very critical, and that is to reassure your customer. Because if we go back to the basics today, and if we go back to what Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks about, the bottom of the pyramid is safety and security. And I think today people are concerned tremendously about their safety and security. While it is important to bring back everything on gear, and which we are on the path of bringing it back to gear. But what is also equally important is reassuring the customer. And here, communication will play a very, very defining role. Humans are basically, we are all social beings, and communication is the life wire of existence. So today, with the change in behavior, we will see that communication will take on newer meanings. And here, it would be very important that the messages that are sent out to the consumer are messages that reassure the customers, which would be key to drive business, sustain loyalties, and therefore expand the markets. When we are talking about which platform would be, let's face facts. I don't think we have taken to digital only after COVID. We already became digital. What has happened now is the number of players, the number of participants, the level of engagement has increased manifold. So it's no more about making people digitally capable. It's about making, it's not just about making them enabled. What I'm saying is people will now become digitally far more capable than just being enabled. And as Mr. Chabria pointed out, look at the number of people who have taken on. We always thought that the digital platform was meant for digital natives. That's the youngsters. But look at the way in which senior citizens have taken on to the digital platform. Apart from just Skyping with grandchildren, they are today doing bank transactions, they're buying their grocery. So which therefore means that this whole aspect of communicating with the consumer is going to be critical to drive business. And here, this transition from offline to online is going to be important, and it has to be very seamless. And when I say it has to be seamless, like it was pointed out that one of the sectors that might see a downfall is the apparel sector and the jewelry sector. Why would that happen? That's mainly because these are areas where touch and feel is very, very important. That whole feeling that you want to touch it. So in this case, you would see that augmented reality is going to play a significant role where the consumer would be able to see what he or she is going to buy, and then it moves on to the click and connect mode. So before you click, you would be reassured of what you're going to buy. And this reassurance will come only through communication messages by various brands. We just talked about the platform, the OTT platform that has really seen tremendous growth, especially during this lockdown period. And I'm going to give you an example of something as recent as yesterday. In the Tata consumer sector, the Tata consumer wing, they have tied up with Amazon Prime to position the Tata Gold Tea along with the launch of Shakuntala Devi. And they have sort of blended it through the message of Dil Ki Suno, which means on the one hand, you're having Shakuntala Devi who is going to follow her passion. And here is a brand that is positioning its product, saying, you listen to your passion and drink this particular tea. So you see how communication is going to change, where you would be looking at like in fact, I must quote this from the CEO of the company, who said that it is no more going to be just return on investments. It's going to be return on objective. What is the objective that you want to deal with? And that is how the messaging is going to happen. So the digital platform is here to stay and here to grow. But we cannot neglect the traditional platforms at all. We must remember that India is not just the metros and the semi-metros. There's another India as well. And you also have consumers who are consuming immense information from other traditional platforms like the television, the print medium, and a huge amount of radio. So there will have to be a lot of integration. And in fact, it would be more omni-channels than multi-channels that will be the game changer in communicating these messages. The whole experience of buying things is going to be more interactive. And that is where brands will have to leverage. They will have to move from just playing on emotions or experiences and make it more interactive. So while chatbots have become very common today, you will see that there would be an increasing level of video communication, because you need that face to something. And this is going to be even more important today when we are all kind of locked out. We need people to talk to. We need people to share with. So the whole aspect is going to be more in terms of shared. How are we going to share these experiences, and how are we going to leverage the situation to make the customer experience far more engaging, far more far more, relevant, and sustain the kind of customers that you are looking at. We also spoke about, which sectors. Now, the point is, EdTech has really made it big. So who is going to be the differentiator in this game? Everybody, let's look at the EdTech sector, whether it is school level, higher education, vocational training, other kind of upskilling certification. There has been so many players and so many more, but how are they going to look or target the exact customer, the client who they want? Here, data is going to be very, very important. So even in key messaging, the data that we get is not just going to drive business numbers, but this kind of data is going to address the softer but critical aspects of communication with the customer. And this will push the business bottom line. Unless you're able to communicate, you would not get your clients on to the platform. So we need to keep in mind the sector. We will have to keep in mind the demography, the demographic behavior, the consumer behavior. And that is how this whole messaging game is going to change. Yes, we are aware that the digital platform does come with its own challenges, and I would say particularly so in India. I mean, whenever we have any kind of online communication happening, and there have been far too many webinars happening, a lot of meetings that happen today, almost it's more than what you do on a daily workspace. It's so much more working. People first begin with trying to check, is the bandwidth all right? Are we going to be able to connect? What if the call drops? So we must understand that we do have certain infrastructure challenges that we will have to meet up. And of course, security in terms of firewall, so that our data is not compromised. In all of this, it's going to be very, very critical for communication messages to address, to begin with. They will have to address customer pain points, which is going to be a big challenge. Identifying what are the customer pain points if they have to take to e-commerce platform to satisfy their desires, needs, and aspirations. We buy a lot of things because we need it. We also buy because we desire it. And there is also an aspirational factor. While the economic setback, I would like to be an optimist and say that the economic setback is temporary in nature. Let's look at it as a short term, but consumer engagement, consumer involvement, and consumer buying is always going to remain, and it is only going to grow. It will definitely grow. So we need to if I have to sort of sum up and then, take on more questions if there are any, we need to look at, yes, we will have to ensure that the customer experience is very heightened through all kinds of technological platforms, from augmented reality. Voice search is going to be big. Video integration when it comes to the next step of click and collect. The Kirana shops that are down the lane, the mom and pop shops that we have just down the lane, in fact, they have already begun. There are services like Dunzo. So even today, when I go down from my own home, I see that the Kirana shop that was really buzzing with activity, like Mr. Chabra pointed out, it seems like they are quiet, but that isn't the case, because he has taken to supplying the goods from his Kirana shop through other systems like Dunzo in the local setup. So this is only going to increase. So we will have to really test the human ingenuity and try and see how we can really leverage the situation, and we are going to emerge winners by crafting the best messages to the consumer, retain the consumer, ensure that the consumer sustains the loyalty, and brand loyalty now is going to be far more important than ever before. Because, look at it this way. Apparel, you won't be allowed to try on your outfit before you buy. So how do you even know that you're buying the right fit? So there will have to be communication messages to the clientele in a manner as to say that this is your brand. You just need to go and pick up your choice, because you will get exactly what you want. And this is where the communication will have to be crisp, direct, personal, at the same time reassuring. So what I would basically like to end up by saying that this is a huge opportunity. We cannot remain complacent. We have to learn from the past, look towards the future, and leverage the present. Thank you.
Well, wow. What information, what style, and what content from both the speakers in terms of business, in terms of questions, examples. It's really an honor to hear both of you. And we have a couple of questions as we are running out of time. It's already almost 4:47. A quick question to the speakers. The first up is for Ajay Chabra, sir. It says that the supply chains are slowing down. I mean, in terms of delivery, the returns, sometimes the collects are not possible, because you spoke about click and collect in terms of international level as well. So what is a way out? Because the supply chains are generally going to be faulty, and with the lockdowns also, the supply chains may not be adequate. So what is a way out?
So I think that's where government need to intervene. Like, in fact, I went for a FedEx. I just went to courier my documents, and they said we don't take B2C documents. Basically, if you are a B2B customer, we will take it. So because of there is a pressure on logistics companies because of rise of fuel, less number of flights, okay, less number of carriers, people driving them. So already supply chain industry is under huge pressure because of their own infrastructural issues, basically, and then top up with the lesser revenue from consumers. Now I think that's one segment of market where I believe that first solution to that would be that we should encourage innovations in that sector. Like earlier we only used to have 2-3 names. Now if you talk about Delivery has done so well in the last few months or so. In the retail segment, there are a couple of players which have emerged for helping Kirana stores also, like Udaan and all that. So there are innovations happening. First, there are innovations in the supply chain happening. Secondly, I believe Government of India should come out with a specific policy, or maybe Niti Aayog should come up with some advantages to this particular sector, so that they revive the losses they have incurred in the last 3 months, basically. So that's something I would like to comment, and I think ma'am can also add something to my points, basically.
Well, I think in your case, what you pointed out was absolutely the business perspective from there. I would say to bring in the more communication aspect, that I think policy think tanks need to work with marketers and with brands to try and figure out what kind of policy suggestions need to be given to the government. Because yes, infrastructure is where I think both public-private partnership, PPP, is the key. And it will have to be a joint effort by both the government agencies as well as private participation to make it robust.
All right. So private participation, joining hands, Niti Aayog can come up with a good, that's a good suggestion, and public-private partnership as what Dr. Mathur Madam mentioned. Ma'am, the question comes to you from one of the viewers. It says, when you spoke about the apparel industry, how it is going to be there. So this is selection to this. It says, how can industries like this, I mean, in terms of luxury cadres like cosmetics, fashions, maybe shoes, etc., can cope with this changing consumer pattern during the pandemic? In terms of communication, in terms of purchase, how can we view the audience?
I think it's a very, very pertinent point, because most people are now thinking that since I'm working out of home, why do I need my high heels? Or why do I need a more comfortable pair of shoe to walk or, be more comfortable? But I would say that as we open up, there would say meeting people and gatherings won't stop, because that would be hitting at the basic core of human behavior. What is going to change is only the manner and the number of people interacting. So I don't think we should really lose hope and think that everything is going to end and life isn't going to be different. What is going to be different is how we respond to these changes. So lifestyle market will continue. It might take a little longer. But let me take on the apparel thing. In fact, there was a recent article in which the CIO of Jockey, he was mentioning this particular thing where he said that the demand for casual wear and leisure wear has increased because of the lockdown. Now, the point is most of these organized brands will have to look and reimagine casual and leisure wear in such a manner as to make it sort of more pleasurable even within a lockdown scenario. Now, my point is, why should I think of dressing up only when I step out of home? Why should I not do it for my own self when I'm working, even within the confines of home? So maybe the communication will have to target that emotion and that self-esteem and that self-reassurance to the consumer that no matter where you are, it is you who is important. So the messaging is what will drive the sales. See, people will want things. It's just that, and that is where, again, the click and collect, the feel of it, the look and feel, that is where augmented reality I mentioned, technology will have to come in big time. If I want to buy something, high-end product, I would like to look and feel so that when I order it, I just go and pick it up and just about see only that aspect. So yes, it will be a little longer than we imagine, but I would like to remain optimistic and say that human mind is going to rethink about it, reimagine and recommunicate an effective message.
Great, ma'am. So do you think this, you mentioned in your address, the interactive mode of purchase, crisp, the message has to be there. Do you think that in reference to this question, this is going to be the next phase of communication messages to be obtained by the e-commerce sectors?
Totally. I think they have to leverage. See, the basic, the beauty of the internet, the beauty of the World Wide Web is interactivity. Mm-hmm. If you are looking at a television message or you're looking at a newspaper message, what is your level of interactivity? Mm-hmm. But if you're looking at a digital platform, your level of interactivity is manifold, and that can be a game changer. So every sector will have to try and find out that model of communication where interactivity is the game changer for that sector to drive its business.
Excellent. I think, yeah, so that has to be the approach now. I could quickly take two last
See, for
questions.
example, if I can just add
Please,
on
please,
to that.
absolutely.
Look at the way people are using their mobile phones, right? Everything happens on the mobile phone. Today, I'm sure many of the participants are also watching us on their through their mobile phones, or logging on through Facebook or connecting on to this webinar. So even the way you position your messages, the number of words you use to message, to deliver that message, and the format of that message is going to be very crucial. So if I want my customer, I should be able to create messages that is going to appeal to my customer, even if he is just going through his WhatsApp and LinkedIn and Insta on the mobile phone.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of questions which are coming up, and I would request the audience that we will not be able to address the questions of each and every one of us as we are running out of the time. But however, you can send us your questions. We will send it to the speakers, and maybe possibly we can get the viewers from. So in the last, before I sum up, I would just like one question which is coming up to Chabra sir. It says that, sir, you spoke about the various options on e-commerce. The question says that majority of the startups are based on e-commerce platforms. And many of them have closed down also during this COVID crisis. How do you think the startup sectors or startup businesses will survive, and whether it is a bubble which has already been busted out?
All right. So that's a very, very genuine question. And I believe it's not a question of startups only. Okay, let me just rephrase this question. The working capital issue had put constraint to mid-size and large organizations also. Okay, even they were forced to do 70-80% pay cuts. Okay, 40% employment cut. I'm just giving hypothetical numbers. These numbers are different basically. So point I'm trying to make, the way business has to be run, it has to be run like a business only. Be it startup, be it mid-size company, or a large-size company. So what I'm trying to say here is that the working capital pressure has been it has been a fire which has burnt everyone basically, not only the startups. Now startups, as a startup, since they for initial 18 months or so or 3 years or so, they don't have revenue potential. They are only working on that idea, building the products. So they can't depend upon revenue coming from consumers. So that's where is the major challenge for them. Now that's where I believe there has been a lot of schemes by Government of India, thanks to Mr. Narendra Modi ji, and he has been able to do a lot of programs around Mudra schemes and all that in the past. But I think here on this particular juncture, we need to think innovative. And I face this, I reach it to everyone also, that we need to be really innovative when it comes to fintech part or handling of working capital part for startups. So we really need some innovative solutions here. And if banking sector also, like I gave that example of Bunny Bansal when he invested 100 billion in one company. I said, why are you wasting your money in one company and you're getting share of Ola? Rather, you could have given 10 lakhs to so many companies in the startup ecosystem, and look at the kind of share volume or equity you would have created. Now, so this, again, here from the policy standpoint, we need assurances to them that, okay, you work for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, working capital is funded by us basically. So those kind of innovative banking products and banking solutions need to come basically. So that's where I feel will make them more sustainable for the time being. And I believe for any country to survive and thrive in the long run, we need to be R&D focused. We need to have trademarks. We need to have IPs. If we don't have those IPs and if we don't have new innovations, how will we fuel the future basically? So I think that's where that's the solution which I can think of as of now. And
Excellent. I mean, so
Dr.
yes, sir.
Ananya, being an academician, I just wanted to point out one thing because I'm sure we have a lot of students who are listening to this webinar. Students are at that stage where they are wondering what about our jobs and what about placements, what is going to happen. So I think this is also a very right opportunity for strengthening academia and industry partnerships
Excellent.
and exploring the online, the digital platform to not only skill and upskill the students, but give them hope and give them a direction towards the future.
Excellent.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, what a very good suggestion, and what answers to have been. If we can go on for this till on, and we can have a lot of conversation. Yeah, we have. I mean, both of you are fabulous speakers with tons of experience behind you and pinpoint answers, solutions, etc. But unfortunately, we have submitted our time. So, on behalf of Farooq University, on behalf of Faculty of Arts and my side and my team, Dr. Triveni Mathur Madam, Ajay Chhabra Sir, thank you so much for being with us. It was very nice. The webinar was made with an agenda to see how we can move forward, and from the business perspective and from the communication perspective. And thank you so much for being with us at this webinar. Also, I would like to thank all my colleagues, the Farooq University management, the viewers, the Digicel, of Farooq University, the event cell, who have made this webinar possible. Thank you so much, and we look forward to have you on the campus soon once the situation normalizes. Industry
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you.